The first thing I said was, see, I'm just as cute as I was 20 years ago. Like, I had to like say it. I feel like I had to like say it. And he's like, it's actually the most uninteresting thing about you. He's like, I loved you 20 years ago when you were like overweight and like had this like short, like bob hair.
Are you tired of looking in the mirror and hating what you see? Tired of wondering if your stomach looks fat during sex or avoiding being naked altogether because of the way you talk to yourself? Are you tired of being confident in public while secretly picking yourself apart in private? Good. That's why you're here. Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, your go-to guide to feeling confident in your body, comfortable naked, and in love with sex. I'm your host, Morgan Barkis, author, speaker, exotic dance instructor, and empowerment coach for women. I earned my master's in marriage and family therapy while stripping to pay for graduate school, and guess what? I loved the work so much, I danced for over a decade. Now I coach women who are ready to flip the negative self-talk, rewrite the stories that have kept them playing small, and finally feel powerful and sexy in their bodies. All without strict diet plans, soul-crushing workouts, or another Cosmo-style 5 tips for the best sex of your life list. This isn't positive affirmation confidence. This is confidence embodied. This podcast isn't about becoming someone new. It's about stepping into the most unapologetic, pleasure-filled version of you. If you're looking for a judgment-free space to talk about sex, beauty standards, trauma, pleasure, and power, you're in the right place. And if you're looking for sugarcoating or a PG conversation, this probably isn't the show for you. Whether I'm flying solo or bringing you raw, honest conversations with powerful women, every episode is designed to help you ditch the insecurities, reclaim your body, and start living like the unapologetic woman you were meant to be. So turn up the volume, listen at 1.5 speed while you're doing other things, and strap in for this wildly unapologetic ride, because I'm a crazy driver. The first thing I want to do is kind of a Where's Waldo thing, because it seems like you're a free spirit like me. Yeah. And if we could work backwards, where are you now and some of the places you've lived and what makes you a bit of a nomad like I was?
Yeah, of course. So one, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here today on your show. So a little bit of a backstory. It's funny because people think I'm like actually a little bit of a free spirit and I'm kind of like moving all over the place. I didn't leave Michigan until I was 47 years old. So I never left Michigan. I mean, I would like vacation and I would travel a little bit, but the most I had ever been away from my parents at that point was like maybe a week at most. So when I was 45, I was going to take a trip to Arizona for a couple of weeks just to go and like check it out. I decided to go and I decided to stay for 6 weeks. And when I stayed for 6 weeks, I decided, hey, I'm going to live on the West Coast. I'm going to kind of try it out. And that was the first time ever I had been away from my family. And I am like a mama and daddy's girl. Like, I mean, I talk to my parents 87 times a day. So it was a really big deal for me to leave. My parents and I live in the same subdivision. My sister lives in the same subdivision. My ex-husband lives in the same subdivision. So it was a really, really, really big thing. And I wasn't just moving a couple hours. I was literally moving across the country. So I've been in Scottsdale for 3 years. It's been great. It's been great to me, but it hasn't been what I wanted. So we're actually recording this podcast today. And I'm actually sitting at the beach in South Carolina because this is actually where my daughter lives and her wife is. And they've been here for about 5 years. And now I'm trying to test this out. And I think that it's important to try different things. And one of the biggest things that I learned in Arizona was like, it's great to have all the money in the world. It's great to, have that freedom. But if you don't have anybody to experience with, it really doesn't matter. And weekend after weekend after weekend, I was literally sitting at home in Arizona and I'm like, why do I work so hard all week to literally just like sit around and do nothing all weekend? Because I don't have friends and family there. So that's why I'm here. I'm testing it out in Myrtle Beach for 30 days. And so far, so good.
I can relate to that in that I've moved way more than you. And there are times where, like yesterday, for instance, it's always Sundays. Because Sundays was like family. We would go to the grocery store as a family. We'd make something for, and I haven't lived at home in 20 odd years. And Sunday always has a sentimental feeling for me. And yesterday, most of the time I'm busy and it doesn't matter. But for whatever reason, I am PMSing. And so I was like, wanted to be cozy. I wanted to be around people. And so let me at least get out of the house. And so I'm sitting at this gorgeous Italian restaurant that's pretty well known in Chicago. And I'm looking around and I'm like, I am legit the only person here alone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's kind of sad. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so I get that. Now, I do have to
How
ask.
I am in most things in Scottsdale. And it's funny because I'm actually in Myrtle Beach for 30 days. My mom's
Yeah,
coming for 2 weeks and my dad's coming for a week. So it's like, I'm going to get all my family full while I'm here.
I love that. Now, I am a 95 degrees with 95% humidity kind of gal. So I
Mm.
would have not liked Arizona. So tell me, did you like the desert? Is that your jam, or you're looking for a more humid climate jumping to the East Coast?
Yeah. So I actually loved Arizona. I always say, like, I did not mind it at all. I mean, the summer months are terrible. I had a pair of shoes melt last year. That was kind of like a big eye opener. Like, it's very hot here. My shoes are melting in my car.
Okay.
I would say I didn't mind it, but it's always that thing. Like right now I'm sitting in like spring. So I'm like, oh, I don't really mind the heat that much. But when I'm there, I mean, I would say it's like 50-50. It's very dry though. You know, there's really no water. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like a reptile. But it's interesting because my daughter, her wife, and I were just in Disney, and that was my first experience really with like any sort of humidity in like a really long time, like 4 or 5 years. So I'll be curious to see how it is once I'm here. I always told my daughter, I'm like, as long as my hair doesn't look crazy, then I will move here. But if my extensions, because I got a lot of hair, if my extensions start looking crazy here, then like that's going to be a game changer.
That's funny. Yeah, see, and I don't like the dry heat. I lived in California for a little over a year, and I was like, get me back to Florida. I will
Yeah.
say, when I visit now, I'm from the Midwest, I live in the Midwest, so when I visit now, it's like there's definitely a smell.
Yeah.
Like there's just a mustiness that never goes away.
Yeah.
And if you're there for more than a day, you're like, it's just normal. But when
Yeah.
you come at first, you're like, yeah, I did not forget this musty smell. So
Yeah. Are you in Chicago?
close. I live just outside of the actual city proper.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Detroit. So I always say I love another good Midwesterner for sure.
Girl, I'm from a small town in Wisconsin, Midwest. Then I went to Minnesota. Then I went to Florida. Then California, Florida, Kentucky, and now here. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah. All the things.
Yeah. All right. So let's take Jillian back to Detroit.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like Detroit proper, or like one of the burbs, or like where were
Yeah,
you?
I was in a suburb, like in 45 minutes north, like a very affluent suburb. I know my parents are always like,
Farmington
why do you
or-
tell people you're from Detroit? You've never even been to Detroit. My mom's like, you've never even been to the city, Jill.
No. Okay. So which one? Which one?
I lived in like the West Bloomfield, Farmington Hills area. And
I
then I grew up
just gonna say Farmington. Yeah.
and then I grew up in Sterling Heights.
When I was in Med Device, I covered Detroit, well, all of Michigan. And so
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Detroit. Henry Ford is
Yeah.
legit the most confusing hospital I've ever been to.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's like probably like 15 minutes for me.
I got there and it was winter and I had to drop off some equipment and then go find a parking spot. And they're like, ma'am, you can't leave your stuff here. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, and I had this huge 110-pound cart, 2 Pelican cases. And they're like, it may not be here when you get back. And
Yeah.
I was like, what? And they're like, no, legit. So I had to pay a security guy to watch my stuff.
That's so crazy.
Detroit's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
is.
take me back to little Jill
Yeah.
growing up in sort of Detroit. And like who were you? Like, what were you like? What were you into? Were you a girly
Yeah.
girl? Were you a tomboy? Like, tell me about little Jill.
Yeah, I actually love talking about younger Jillian because my childhood is probably very different than a lot of people that you interview on the podcast. Number one, I was a cancer kid 2 times. So I got diagnosed with leukemia when I was 5. I was on treatment for a year. Then I was off treatment for a year, and then I relapsed again when I was about 8. So from the ages of like 5 to like 11, 12, I was in and out of hospitals my entire life. I was a Make-A-Wish kid. So we weren't just like battling cancer. Like we were like preparing for end of life cancer. Like leukemia was very different 40 years ago than it is now. Not that like you want to get it now, but like it's one of those cancers now. If you get it's like, okay. Back like in the 80s, leukemia was like a death sentence. So that was really my majority of my childhood. The only thing I really remember from childhood is being sick, being in and out of hospitals, seeing a lot of my friends die at a very young age. Like I always say, like before the age of 10, I went to more funerals than probably most people go to like in their lifetime. And I was literally burying like my friends, like young children. So I think that has set me up for just kind of like who I am in general. Like I live a very healthy lifestyle. My health is very, very important to me. Family is very, very important to me. I see how quickly like those things can go away. And then post leukemia, post cancer, I mean, I was definitely like a tomboy for sure. I'm still a tomboy for sure to this day. It's funny. Me and my daughter went to Charleston yesterday, me and my daughter and her wife, and I was like getting dressed to go. I was actually going on a date too, someone I met like 20 years ago. And she's like, Mom, you cannot wear a jersey and Jordans to Charleston. Like you got to put a dress on. And I was like, I don't even know if I like own a dress. So I feel like I'm trying to like tap more into my like feminine as I'm now in my like late 40s.
I
But I've
love
always
this.
been that way. Like when I was growing up, my entire bedroom was like Chicago Bulls. I had a Michael Jordan cutout. I traded baseball cards. I had all guy friends. And then I went into corporate where I was also around all men. So I've really ran in like male energy my whole life.
I teach exotic dance. Sometimes
Oh, I'm
I used to
obsessed.
teach a lot, and then recently I did a workshop at the Soho House, and one of the well, actually there were a couple women there who were in a very male dominated
Hmm.
work environment, and they both said we're here because I would get kind of circle the girls up before we got started and kind of say, what are you excited about, what are you a little nervous about? And they said,
Yeah.
I'm here because I want to tap into my feminine energy and move in a very feminine way because I am constantly in this masculine energy, and it's I kind of forget who I am as a feminine woman. And I was like, oh, I got you.
We're
um,
like, I know me and my daughter went to dinner on Friday when I got here, and I had this like little wife beater on and these like hip hop like track pants on. She's like, you don't even walk like a girl. You just walk like you're like on a mission all the time. So I'm like really trying to tap into my feminine right now as I'm in a crop hoodie and leggings today
You know what
too.
you can do though is mix and match. So I learned this from New Yorkers. Like you can be super cute on top and still rock the tennis shoes on
Uh,
the bottom. So
yeah,
that's what I.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right. So health and fitness are obviously important. Tell me about teenager, because I have to say, as a woman, as I became a teenager, one, you start to notice that boys are now noticing you, and even men, which can be creepy, but it is what it is. And then also just your body's changing. So then now you're like kind of adjusting and trying to figure out what this means, and usually you're developing in areas that you're like, what is happening? So tell me
Yeah,
about Jillian as a teenager and like some of the influences that for me it was 17 magazine
yeah, of
and a
course.
couple movies. So tell me about the influences that made
Yeah.
you know what a woman was or what she should look like.
That's great. So I was actually a competitive cheerleader from
Oh,
like eighth grade all the way through. I actually compete. I
how tall are you, Jillian? Because I feel like you're just a little thing.
5 foot, 5 foot,
Okay.
like
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I'm very like pocket size. It's funny. I actually went to an event recently and I met this woman who I knew online, and she came up to me and she was like, "Oh, I thought you'd be a lot smaller in real life." I'm like, "Do you?" Like I'm literally so small. Like how small do you think I was gonna like be a gnome? Like what'd you think I was gonna like actually be? But people say crazy shit. But I was a competitive cheerleader from eighth grade, and then I danced in a semi-pro football team in my like, early 20s. So that was really a big part of it. So my body was always like very much the focus. Like how small can I be? How lean can I be? How tight can I be? How strong can I be? And we can talk about that as it's progressed into later years because that's something that I still battle with at the age of 47 now. So I think that was a really big thing. But obviously, like when you are a competitive athlete and you are competing and you are like the the most popular thing in high school, you get a lot of attention. You get attention that's good, you get attention that's bad. But I feel like something I'm even still working through is like not finding my value in my body and like my appearance, because really that's like how it was. Like you got chosen for the team, you got chosen for the starter role, you got charted for all those things based on how it was. And yeah, it's not always like the best thing, but that was a big part of my like high school years. And then I had my daughter young. I had my daughter at 22. So after 22, I'm a mom. So I didn't really have like the normal like 20-year-old, 30-year-old things. I was like raising a child and growing a corporate career.
Yeah. Now, I want to explore this because for me it was very 17 magazine.
Yeah.
I tell people Meet Joe Black was one of my favorite movies, and the lead
Oh my
character,
God.
she was just like the tiniest, thinnest little thing.
Yeah.
And I was 5'3" and curvy, and I'm like, why am
Oh,
I like this? And my mom was real tall and lean, had the longest legs. Her inseam is like 38 inches, mine is 25. Like, so
yeah.
she
I
was
was
just
gonna say, I think mine's like 25. Mine might be like 23 actually.
yeah, like even petite is too long for me, right? But anyway, I thought, a certain had to be a certain way, should look like a Playboy or like a
Yeah.
17 magazine model. And what was wonderful for me was that even though, yes, it was based on body, and you were selling literally your body and your personality, when I became a stripper,
Mm-hmm.
all my body image issues, like a light switch, were done. Because even though I was presenting a certain way,
I realized that you could be any kind of body type and still be sexy, desirable. It was about your attitude, your confidence. It had nothing to do with breast size, boobs, or breast size, butts, skinny, not skinny, tall, what age even. I mean, I worked with a woman who was 50 and she was like, you go into different strip clubs because her husband was in the army and she didn't have anything to do. And I'm like, you do, you go. I'm saying all this to say, when I was finally set free, I was asked to be a fitness competitor, and I was like, no, I have judged my body my entire life, and I'm finally free of that shit. There's no way I'm going to do a fitness competition.
Yeah.
For you, it seems like this is still something that's kind of programmed that yet hasn't been completely deprogrammed. So tell me about what got you into fitness competitions and kept you going, because I was like, stay away from me with your fitness competition stuff. I don't want anything to do with that. And you were like, let me do it for 15 years. So tell me.
It was about a decade, it's about 10 years. Yeah. So, so after I had my daughter, I was very, very, very small. And then I put on probably close to 80 pounds. So I was close to 200 pounds at 5 foot tall. So I was a thicker girl for sure.
I was gonna say that's a lot to carry for a little.
It was a lot to carry, and like I was just very round and just very unhealthy and all the things. And I had gone through a terrible, terrible divorce. To put it into a Cliff Note version, I had a lifelong best friend. I was married. The two of them got together. They fell in love. They are now married, living in my marital home, like raising their children now. So not only did I lose my husband, I also lost my like lifelong best friend. And she was everything that I wasn't. She was super sexy. She was skinny. She had big fake boobs, like basically all the things that I was not at his wife at that time. Now I'm really happy to say like I'm a lot hotter now. And I make that very clear. I feel funny. Yeah. So I said, you know what? I'm at like literally rock bottom with my body and I'm going to go and like lose some weight. And I went to the gym and there was all these girls that were doing fitness competitions. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to do a fitness competition. There was a very big difference between doing a fitness competition and losing weight. So my first show that I did not belong on that stage. I was the girl who just lost a bunch of weight that you see people kind of like making fun of on TikTok. It's like, she should not be at a fitness show because she just lost a bunch of weight. She's not like muscular. And I remember I went to this fitness show and I showed up and I was like, I don't look anything like these people, but I was like, I'm going to go on. I'm still going to do it. My family was in the crowd. My daughter was in the crowd and I got dead last. And it was humiliating because now it's like I'm being judged. I lost weight, but I'm still being judged differently. And I said to myself, I'm going to come back 1 year from now and I'm going to win this show. And very similar to business, I was like, I'm going to hire the best of the best posing coach, the best trainers, the best nutritionist, whatever. And my body got insane. Okay. So when I came back 1 year later, it was actually in Chicago and I won. And that really lit the fire under me to like keep winning and keep going to different organizations. And I have a very addictive personality. It was like, well, if I can win 1 a year, I could win 3 a year. So, you know, I was doing 3, 4, 5, 6 shows per year and absolutely crushing it. I was grateful enough to be in like Fitness Magazine. I was in Oxygen Magazine, like all these things. I was getting, you know, promoted by supplement companies. But again, my entire identity was my body and how I looked. And if you've never done a fitness show, this is what happens. You do a fitness show, even if you win, okay? You get a report card back. And it basically criticizes everything still on your body. So like your waist could come in a little bit more. Your glutes could be a little bigger. Your hamstrings could be a little leaner. You could look a little more charismatic. So it's like, even when you're winning, it's like, it's still like a dog show. And it's like, they're doing it. So you'd go back and you'd be, okay, I got to be smaller here, bigger here, all these things. And I did this for almost a decade. And, it was very hard. And I actually got married a second time during this time and got divorced during it because it's a very selfish sport. It's a very expensive sport. I always say I competed in the worst time. My daughter was in high school. Like my attention needed to be on her, but it was like getting in magazines and doing these things. And then when I turned 40, I retired. And I always say like my identity as a child was a cancer kid. My identity in my teens was a competitive athlete. My identity in my 20s was a single mom. And then I was a fitness competitor. And then I was a corporate high exec. So it's like I had all these identities. And once they went away, I didn't really know who I was. So when I turned 40, I was like, I'm going to kind of figure out like who I am, right? I had just lost my corporate job. I had become an entrepreneur. I had quit competing. And now I think we're still trying to kind of figure it out at 47, but I've definitely come a long way from there.
Jillian, during that time, because you are, from the short time I've known you, you're extremely focused and determined.
Mhm.
And if you say you're going to do something, you do it. Like there's no wishy-washiness here.
Yeah. It's why I haven't told my daughter I'm moving here yet, because I know if I say I'm moving here, I have to come here.
Yeah.
Because I will never go back on my word.
Yeah. If you decide you're going to be the best, it's done. Like, that's just what it is. And it seems like very like up here where you live is in your head. Like it's a goal oriented, it's numbers, it's goals.
Yeah.
Tell me about the heart. So, because sometimes during that time, it's very easy to live completely in your head because you're counting calories and you're getting to your workout and you're scheduling things and there's all these goals. Who were you inside your heart in the darkest corner of the darkest room? Like, did you journal at that time? What were you actually feeling, experiencing in your like heart and soul during the fitness years?
Yeah, I definitely was not journaling. I was really just seeking like more validation for like my appearance and like what I looked like. I was making very bad decisions with men at that point. And again, everything was really based off of like what I look like. I also knew when I moved to the online space as an entrepreneur, I wanted to like shut that portion of my life. Like I didn't want to keep doing that anymore. So I even like I had a new Instagram, like all that stuff. Like none of that former life really came with me into the entrepreneurial space, other than like the drive and the motivation and the focus. But now that I'm kind of out of it, there's definitely a lot of healing that we're going through now. I mean, I never really healed from like my first marriage. I jumped into a second marriage, right? I never really healed from like an eating disorder. I still have it at 47 years old. I've had it probably my entire life. If I know I've definitely had it for 2 decades. I've been in treatment. So it's like those things really haven't been dealt with. So I think now we're kind of like dealing with some of those things, but it's still hard. It's hard. I mean, every day for sure.
You're wiser, smarter, able to reflect. If you could go back and like whisper something to that woman who is in those like, hey, don't forget this, or hey, think about that, or what were some of those things, or even knowing yourself. I mean, you lived it. If you look back now, can you look at patterns or things that you were feeling and you just ignored?
Yeah, I would say definitely like if I could go back and like talk to that former self, number one, I would say like you're very self-involved and you're very self-focused, and there's other people that need you. Your husband needs you, your daughter needs you, your corporate job needs you. Like there's so many other things, but I was so focused. I always say my focus is like it's the best part of me and the worst part of me, because when I want to do something, I'm so focused on it, but then everything else kind of gets shut down, right? So it's like even when I was competing, it was like that was all I focused on. That was all that mattered. I mean, I had just gotten married. I like wasn't paying any attention to my husband. I wasn't going out to eat. I was in the gym 87 hours a day. It's like looking, and I had like the world's greatest husband. But like looking back, it's like I was so self-involved in those times that I like really missed out on very important moments of life that I will probably never get back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And stepping out now, what are you doing for, because you're never going to make up that time. It is what it is. Yeah. And it was a life lesson.
Yeah.
So what are you doing different now in terms of those relationships and making sure that you're not as self-focused?
Yeah, I think, well, one, just being self-aware of it. I don't think I was really aware when I was in it. I think I was doing it, but I wasn't like aware in it. I mean, something as simple as yesterday, we were in Charleston and we were walking around and my daughter was like, hey, let's grab ice cream. Former Jill would have been like, I'm not eating ice cream. I'm not eating ice cream. You can go and I'll just sit here and I'll pay for it and we're good. And I'm going to miss out on that moment. And instead I thought to myself, like, an ice cream cone's not going to kill you and you're not going to eat all of it anyways. And also just like enjoy the moment of like walking around with your daughter and her wife in Charleston, and don't make it about you. Because this is also something that I've learned along the way. My eating disorder has made other people very uncomfortable. Right. So it's not only mine to carry, but like other people have been like, well, if she's not eating that, maybe I shouldn't eat that. Or is she judging me, or all those things? And that's been a really big barrier for me and my daughter, because my daughter could not be more opposite. Like, she loves food. She's a foodie. I mean, she's in great shape, but like, I know growing up, she had such guilt around eating things, because it was like, well, my mom's not eating these things, right? Like, my mom's not going to this restaurant. My mom's not eating birthday cake. My mom didn't eat her own wedding cake at her own wedding. So I think looking back on those things, it's like, I'm really glad that it did not program her to be just like me, because she's actually just the opposite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And having like your body is your value for so long, or your currency, because I can identify with that.
Yeah, for sure.
what is it like now to, yeah, because especially women, like it's like have this cream and do this procedure and do your hair like this. There's just so many outside
Yeah.
opinions and
Mhm.
influences and pushes. It is very, very easy for any woman to
Yeah.
think that her value is how she looks.
Yeah.
And for me, especially as I've gotten older, it's like I'm the full package, but that part's a small part of it. And yes, I take care of my vessel. I get
Yeah.
the hair done and I wear makeup and I always want my nails done and I wear cute outfits when I feel like it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it gives me like a little pep in my step. And
You're
I'm
also
also,
rocking the coolest necklace ever today, by the way.
thank you. I got this at Express, like I couldn't even tell you how many years ago, and this
I
jacket
love
too.
it. I love
And I just, it's been very wear hardy. I've had it for
Yeah.
years. It's moved across the country with me all over.
I love that.
Thank you. And now, especially, I can notice, and with other women too, I have a friend who often worries about certain things, oh, I'm looking older in this way, or that. And I just
Yeah.
think, oh my God, your value, like I could list so many things that make you
Yeah.
an exceptional human and woman in particular, and why you are so magnetic in your own way.
Yeah.
Nobody's even thinking about that except for you. No one's criticizing that except for you. So what have you been able to little by little step into to make sure and believe that your value is so much more than what's happening on the outside?
Yeah. So I think for me, because I was very successful in corporate for almost 2 decades, my identity and my value really came in like the income that I make and how I look.
Mm-hmm.
So those are still the same things that are still kind of with me now. And I feel like at the end of last year, that's when I just got really clear of like, again, you can make all the money in the world, you can have a great business, but if you don't have anyone to share it with, it really doesn't matter. So that was like a really big eye opener for me. And so that was one. And then number two, when it comes to like my appearance, I think I'm still working. I think I'm definitely still a work in progress. I don't worry about like aging or anything like that. I think I'm actually very fortunate because I don't feel like I look 47 at all. So I feel like I'm very, very fortunate in that. And I'm sure the time will come that it will catch up. But yeah, I think for me, it's really just kind of figuring out what that is. And, I'll even tell you a quick story. Yesterday, I dated this guy 20 years ago and we met up in Charleston yesterday and I hadn't seen him in 20 years. And the first thing I said was, see, I'm just as cute as I was 20 years ago. Like I had to like say it. I feel like I had to like say it. And he's like, it's actually the most uninteresting thing about you. He's like, I loved you 20 years ago when you were like overweight and like had this like short, like bob hair. And he's like, and I've watched you online and he's very, very successful. So like, that's not the thing that intrigues him about me. So I feel like for me, I'm really like finding myself in partnerships or relationships where people see my value out of what I earn and what I look like. And that's like, I think something that's really going to be important as I move forward.
Oh, I love that because really there are times where someone says something to you, good or bad, that stick with you in a way that you're like, why am I still carrying this thing? Yeah. And other people can be really healing in that you're in your own head for so many years and you're telling yourself certain things and someone comes in who you respect and, value the opinion of or the perspective of and says something like that, like this is one of the least interesting parts of you. It's like, oh, wait, I've been getting that card first all this time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
even like I'm on dating apps. And if the very first thing a guy says to me, like I literally, one guy yesterday slid into my DMs, he was like, you're so hot. And I like instantly unmatched him. And my daughter was like, good for you. I'm like, because if that's the only thing that they see, instead of being like, oh, I see you're CEO, I see that you have a daughter, I see that you love travel. It's like, if that's the first compliment someone gives me, then like, that's not who I'm like wanting to be aligned with. And I think for the last 20, 25 years, men have really found my value in that. And now and that clearly has not worked. So we're trying to go with like, let's find value in like something else. But I have to also look for that because I will say like what people look like is important to me. So it's like, if I want people to not make that my only value, I have to make that not what I see in other people.
I love that. I actually, in 2026, that was one of my intentions this year was calling in the one because my first one was like, I'm going to travel abroad at least twice a year. Cause it's like, I don't want to die without visiting as many countries as I've always wanted to. And I thought, okay, let's go a little deeper here though for 2026. And so calling in the one was I read the book and I thought, am I ready to do this? Cause I've been on my own a very long time and it's been going fine.
Yeah.
And so when I looked at okay, if I am going to commit to this, what are some of the things that I need to become? And it was like,
Yes.
okay, well, if I want a kind partner, then I need to be more kind to myself. If I want a generous partner, I need to be more generous to myself. And yeah, the looks thing was like, definitely, if I don't want someone to only value my looks, then like you just said,
Right.
yes, I have to be physically attracted to him, but does he
For
have
sure.
to be Brad Pitt? No. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
there's only
And
one
I've even noticed it over like the last 6 months. It's like, okay, it's like I'm actually like reading their profiles. I'm actually like learning about them instead of just being like, he's not hot, he's not cute, he doesn't have abs, he doesn't blah, blah, whatever.
yeah. I prefer a guy that's like a little bit plushier than me, because then it's like, whew, I don't have to keep up as much. Like
Yeah.
I went on a date years ago when I first moved to Miami, and the dude right away, I sit down, we're at this little outdoor cafe situation, and he's like, do you eat carbs? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, oh, I don't. I think the last time I had a pizza was a couple months ago, and I felt really bad about it. I was like, this isn't going to work out.
Yeah.
I like to eat. So, and I had an eating disorder. So never again will I regulate this isn't going to work.
Yeah, it's funny. I met a guy this weekend on Match or whatever, which one I was on, and I was like, "Oh, what are your plans on Saturday night?" He's like, "I'm just wrapping up 2 hours of cardio," and I was like, "That is not the life that I want to be in anymore." And I'm like, "Good for you," but like, I spent a decade of Saturday nights doing 2 hours of cardio in a sauna suit, and like, it's not really what I'm looking for here, Brittany.
No.
Yeah.
Going back to your corporate gig, do you have a funny story or two for me? That I just feel like I'm in sales as well. And so you run into people and then working with people. Do you have any fun stories? One that was like shocking with someone you worked with, or one of your customers, and then one that was like funny.
Yeah, I will say, well, I think one of the biggest things is I was the first female hired in our organization since 1963. So I came into like a very big boy club. And again, I came in, I was like 22 years old. I was like smoking hot back then. And these men, you would think that they'd be really nice to me. It was actually quite the opposite. They were rude. They were mean. They didn't want the girl there. They like would make rude comments. And I really had to like say to myself, I actually just did an Instagram, a reel on this recently, like, it didn't matter what I looked like. I had to prove that I like deserved to be there. And I had to prove that like I was going to get results. So I remember sitting in this meeting room and there was like 200 of them at this point, and they were just being like total assholes. And I said, you know what? One day they're all going to work for me. I don't know what that looks like, whether I'm the CEO, the CFO, the VP of sales, like whatever this looks like, but like all these MFers are going to work for me one day. And when I left corporate after 22 years, I ran the sales force of 215 salespeople, men at that point. So it's like all these guys who are kind of like jerks to me. I'm like, hey, that's fine because you're going to report to me one day. And they did, which felt really good. And I think corporate taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about building someone else's dream. I was actually a ride or die corporate person. I had no desire to be an entrepreneur. I wasn't like one of those people who like dreaded going to work. Like I fucking loved corporate. I love the company I work for. Like they were literally my family. And then unfortunately our company got bought out by investors and they just downsized, and that's really what it was. But I actually had no desire to ever be an entrepreneur. Like I was a corporate girly through and through.
When you started your online business, well, at first, just quick snippet on what you do, so the person listening is like, oh, okay, that's what she does. You jumped in, and again, it was another one of those things where you're like, well, I'm going to say that I'm going to do this thing, and then I'm going to go do that thing. So what do you do?
Yeah, so I would put me in the category of a sales consultant. My business has lots of different legs, but for people who are in the online space, it's you're really good at your craft, right? Maybe you are a great photographer, you're a great coach, you're a great healer, you're a great realtor, but you don't know how to do business. You don't know how to market. You don't know how to create content. You don't know how to get people to pull out their credit card. Like there's so many people that I work with that like they're so good at what they do, but like the world isn't matching, like the income's not matching. So that's really what I work through with my clients. And I work through their entire sales process. So everything from how you're generating leads in your business, how you're getting visible, how you're creating content that becomes like a fuck yes for people. How are you marketing? What are your offers? Does it make sense? What is your retention? So I look at my business as like a whole. And then the other branch of my business is where I go and I teach inside of corporate, or I work with companies that can't afford a sales team or like a VP of sales. So I'll go in as like a fractional sales manager. So my business has like 3 legs. And I always say like on Instagram, which is where I know you and I hang out together, people really only see me as like a sales coach for entrepreneurs. But again, my business has other legs as well. And I started 5.5 years ago in the online space, and I grew my business to 6 figures in 6 months, $500,000 in 18 months. And we hit like 7 figures by year 2, 2.5. And it was because I knew exactly what it took. I knew how to get visible. I knew how to generate leads. I knew how to market myself. I knew how to create content because I was doing all those things in corporate. So I always say to people, if I would have come out of the gate and I would have been like a mindset coach or a manifestation coach or like a website builder, I probably would not have had the exact same success that I've had. I've had the success that I've had because every business owner that I meet needs me. And I say that like unapologetically. If you were listening to this podcast right now and you have a business, at some point you're going to need me. So it was really good because there's not a lot of sales coaches. So I was almost in this like blue ocean of like, there's all these other people doing these things, but I focus in on sales. So yeah, that's what I do. I love it. The majority of my work is one-on-one consulting, and then I have like a group program, but I love getting my hands and my brain inside of people's businesses. It's like my superpower.
It is your superpower. Yeah. And you are very, very good at do. So tell me what some of the things you do to be. Like, how do you take care of your heart and soul? You mentioned you don't do journaling. How does Jillian tap into yourself and be instead of just do?
Yeah. So I think a lot of the things that I do to just be is like, I think it surprises a lot of people that I don't set an alarm clock. I wake up when I'm ready every single day, and that allows me to never be in like rush mode, fight or flight. I mean, we recorded this podcast at 12 today. I think I woke up at like 10:40 today. Like, I love to just be and just relax, because when I'm on, right? So then I had a meeting right before you. We record the podcast. I'm on till 4, and I'm so laser focused until 4. And then people also think I'm very extroverted because I am online so much. I'm creating so much content. I'm on podcasts. I'm actually extremely introverted. So at the end of the day, I love to go into my own bubble. You know, I'm a huge workout girly. I love to just like lay on the couch, recharge, all of those things. Because I think that is important. And then I'm very intentional about who I spend my time with. And I'm very intentional about what I consume. So for me, it's like, I'm not consuming a bunch of stuff I don't need. I'm not consuming a bunch of people's opinions that I don't need. I'm not in a bunch of programs that I had a bunch of people like talking to me from 1,000 different directions. I'm very intentional about how I protect my space. And I think it's also a big reason why my business has grown to what it has. I mean, I had the same mentor for 4.5 years in the online space, and that's like unheard of. Most people are in and out of masterminds, in and out of programs, in and out of courses, but I'm like so laser focused that when I'm like locked in with someone, I'm like locked in. So yeah, I think those are some of the biggest things that I do. And I love, those are some of the biggest things that I do.
Love that. 2 questions.
Yeah, of course.
Your favorite place to interact with people if they want to find you and interact with you. And then I'd love to hear your motto in life. What is your motto in life?
Of course. So I think my favorite place is number one, just on my social media, which is the Jillian Murphy. Come over, hang out. But I also have a podcast. We drop 2 to 3 episodes a week. I know Morgan loves the podcast. So go over, check it out. If you like how I talk today on this podcast, like it's very much like that: business, strategy, relationships, life, all the things. I'm an open book. I don't sugarcoat anything like when on the podcast. Like, I just want people to get to know me. And then I will say my life motto is what I have tattooed on my arm right here. And it says, be her now. And I actually started with my daughter. We were walking on the beach a couple years ago in Myrtle Beach, and she was a vapor at the time. And I said, you really need to quit vaping. And she's like, well, when I become a mom, I'll quit vaping. And I was like, be her now. Like, don't wait until you're a mom to like stop smoking or drinking or getting fit or all these things. And it really landed. I remember I went to my Instagram stories that day and I told that story. People were like, oh, I love Be Her Now. I love Be Her Now so much that I actually put them on sweatshirts. We sold almost 500 sweatshirts last year. We sold out of them. They were so much fun. And then I got it tattooed on me. So I think that I'm always asking myself, like, what is the future version of Jillian doing? How is she acting? How is she showing up? And that's in all areas of life: love, relationships, friendships, all of those things.
You are nothing short of badass, and I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I love you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If today's episode hit you in your heart and left you feeling empowered, please do me a favor and leave a review on Spotify or Apple. It helps more than you know, and it makes it easier for other women to find this show and feel less alone. And if you're feeling bold, screenshot the episode and share it on your stories or DM it to a girlfriend of yours. Getting the word out is how we grow this unapologetic movement. This podcast exists because women like you are pure magic. And feeling confident in your body isn't something you earn, it's something you decide. You can keep holding yourself back, or you can start living out loud. Dress how you want to dress, chase the dreams that light you up, prioritize your pleasure, and fully enjoy the delicious, messy, powerful experience of being a woman. Until Until next time, get at me in the DMs. I always love hearing from you.